Hi everyone, I'm Jon Corra, the marketing manager for Jarvis Law Office, and to my right, Miss Hope Spangler, the chief vision officer. Hope, got a pop quiz for you.
Oh, yay!
So, as the marketing manager, I get to look at all the back end of our website and our apps and all that fun stuff. Can you guess what the most popular page every month on our website is?
Our event page.
That's close, that's pretty high. But that's not it. It is, can Medicaid take my home?
Oh,
And
I actually should have guessed that, John.
So I've got a story about that. So this is a personal story. And back before I worked for Jarvis Law Office, I had to take care of my mom. She was, my dad passed away when I was very young. My mom was getting bad off in my mid-30s. And I had no knowledge of long-term care. And it got to the point where my mom really needed around-the-clock care. And we didn't know what was going on. It was me, my sister, my mom. My aunt was a nurse by trade. She helped out a lot. But that was one of the biggest fears we had was if mom needs to go into a nursing facility or assisted care, any type of long-term care, is Medicaid going to take our house? I think it's safe to say that question's on everyone's mind. Because long-term care, Medicaid is complicated.
It is.
So let me ask you, and for those who don't know, Hope has decades of experience, even though she doesn't look like it, in long-term care. She's been with the firm for 2 decades. So Hope, let me ask you this question. Can Medicaid take my home?
They aren't actually going to come in and force it to be deeded over to them. But what they're likely going to do is force someone into a position where they have to sell their home. If they don't sell their home, then and that person accesses Medicaid. And again, this is dependent on the type of Medicaid program. But after 55 years of age, many of them attach to the home. And if they don't force you to sell it, then what they'll do is they'll put a lien on your home up to the value of whatever amount they paid for your care. Even though they're not going to come in, like an agent from Medicaid is not coming to your home and saying, sign the deed over. But they may still end up with your home, or they may force it to be sold and force you through the spending down of the value of the home.
Okay.
Now that usually applies to a single person because there are some special rules when someone is married, but you can still end up with a lien on your home if you're married.
Okay.
They aren't going to force your spouse out into the street, but having them lose a significant amount of the value of the home if you have children, it's still a pretty big deal.
So we were right to be worried about that because my mom had no long-term care insurance. She didn't have the assets to pay for anything. So likely that would have happened. But let's talk about someone who maybe has more significant assets. Let's talk about that married couple.
Okay. Well, John, let's step backward for a second because I think your situation is actually one that can come into play pretty significantly. And people have something on their side and they don't even realize it.
Okay.
In many states, not every state, there's something called the adult child caregiver exemption, meaning if an adult child moved into their parents' home, cared for them for at least 2 years, during which time they would have otherwise needed care in the nursing home, under certain circumstances, Medicaid will allow you to transfer that home to that adult child's name. That sounds fairly straightforward.
But it's not.
It's not, because it's Medicaid.
Yeah,
it's the government.
Yeah.
There's so many hoops to jump through and red tape to comply with, and it's not just up to you. You need the cooperation of other individuals to make this all happen. So even if all the things aligned on your side, doesn't mean that it's still going to work out in the long run. When I first started working at the firm and I heard about this exemption to protect the home, I thought, oh my God, this is a godsend. We're going to be able to use this for so many families. I've been with the firm for about 22 years. You know about how many times I've seen this be able to be used successfully?
1,000.
Closer to 25.
I knew it was either really high or really low.
So a little more than once a year. And we have 3 offices. We help a lot of families every year. Trying to get all those facts to line up just the right way and get the documentation that you need.
Mm-hmm.
It's like getting the stars to align. It's like setting up an eclipse.
Wow.
I'll tell you, people who think that they can use this oftentimes can't. And I cannot tell you the number of times where someone from the nursing home
Mm-hmm.
or someone, who's like, oh, we were able to, use this for my aunt. You don't worry, you'll be fine. You can protect the house because of this thing. And it doesn't work out. But again, you're right. The house is a big issue.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can protect it this way, it's a fantastic thing. Talk to an elder law attorney so they can cross all the T's and dot all the I's, because it doesn't work out for most families.
Why couldn't my mom just put it in my name? We know she needs care.
Mm-hmm.
Just sign the house over to me right away.
Legally, she could have done that. The challenge is Medicaid has that whole 5-year look back. So they look at all her assets and they look back over 5 years and they see, oh, she transferred the house to you, Jon. And so then they're like, Jon, did you pay mom the fair market value for the home, or the auditor's value for the home, or the appraised value for the home? And in that situation,
wouldn't have, no.
Okay. So then what they do is they say, okay, here's the value of the home. They're going to call that amount a gift. They're going to run through that penalty calculation that they have.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to say, Jon, mom's not going to qualify for Medicaid for, let's say that the house was valued at $100,000. And in one of their calculations, that 16 months that they won't pay for mom's care. Now, if we have to pay, let's just say we're going to fall into kind of the lower average of what a month in the nursing home costs. If we have to now pay $10,000 a month for mom to be in the nursing home because she gave you that house, and it's going to take 16 months, that's $160,000. Mom now has to pay back, or you have to pay back.
I might need a raise.
For a $100,000 house.
Wow, that's nuts.
That doesn't sound like the right kind of math, does it?
No, it doesn't.
That's what we're saying about these penalty factors, and that's what we call Medicaid math. Dollars transform into something else when you run them through Medicaid's algorithms. We're here trying to save families from getting injured by doing something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God you didn't do that, and that your mom didn't actually need to go to the nursing home. But lots of families do get injured by these kinds of things because no one had planned for that outcome.
Oh, for sure. Well, let me throw a hypothetical at you.
Sure.
Let's say my mom was healthy as a horse, a good horse, a Clydesdale, if you will. And let's say she still was worried about eventually needing long-term care because we have all kinds of issues in our family. And let's say she's like, you know what, I want to prepare ahead and I want to put my house in my son's name now because I'm healthy, I'm wealthy, I'm wise, I don't need any care. Why would you advise people against doing that? Because I'm a young, reckless kid, and I'm just curious what you have to say.
Well, you don't even have to be reckless. So let's talk about the different possibilities.
Yeah.
So what we want to make sure happens is that mom and dad don't lose their home for any reason, whether it's Medicaid or anything else. So the reasons, and there are many, that we advise people not to transfer their assets into their children's name is because their children might lose them a whole lot more quickly than Medicaid might be there to scoop them up. So, Jon, you did a lot of driving.
I sure do. 25,000 miles last year.
And so odds are, being on the road that much and Let me guess, are you on the phone a good deal of that time?
No.
I know, Jon. Jon's chatty.
I'm texting you, Hope.
So if he gets distracted, causes a car accident, his parents' assets are in his name.
Mm-hmm.
His car insurance cap, which most people's cap is $300,000. Does that sound about right?
It is, yep.
So let's say he injures someone.
Ooh.
The settlement, let's say it's for $1 million. So $1 million minus the $300,000 the insurance company is going to pay leaves you
$700,000.
Bingo. That's why we don't want you to put your home in your child's name. The other thing is, if you were married, and let's use me as the example now. I'm divorced. If my parents had put their home in my name, would I have lost half the value of that home in my divorce? There's a good likelihood that could have happened. There's so many things that can occur, and their house can be protected without having to expose it to someone else's liabilities. So why wouldn't we do that?
That's a good point.
Because we're doing this to protect the home.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not just take it from one risk and put it into a whole bunch of other risks. Let's truly protect it.
I gotta share real quick. So at workshops, we do these workshops once a month for all of our offices. The thing I hear the most from people who are scheduling appointments with us is, I want to make sure my son-in-law or daughter-in-law doesn't get my house. Because there's a lot of people who marry folks that their parents don't approve of. So it just always makes me chuckle a little bit. Like, well, we're going to take care of you. But Hope, how do we take care of that? Like, how do we protect that home?
Absolutely. So there are different ways to do that. One of the safest is to use a special type of asset protection trust. Mm-hmm. It's a way to protect your home and many of your other assets, so that whether it's your own risk of causing a car accident or something else, or needing long-term care in the future, you can protect your assets, still stay completely in control of them. And if you need to get something to something that you're protecting, you can still do that too.
So I gotta tell another quick story. I'm financially illiterate at times, especially now since I started working for Jarvis Law Office. I've learned a lot. But I used to always joke when I met someone who was money smart, they can explain to me what capital gains are, because I always heard that term but didn't know about it. And capital gains is something we talk about a lot during our presentations, because a lot of people will say, how does that even impact me leaving my house to my child? So what is, first of all, what is a capital gain for those people who are ignorant like I used to be? And how does it impact estate planning?
Another great question. Yeah. Look at you.
I try.
So a capital gain is simply the increase in value of something. And we have capital gains taxes. So if you purchase or invest in an asset, it increases in value over time, and then you give it to someone else or you sell it, you will have to pay capital gains taxes on that. And those usually range from 15 to 20% of the increase in the value. So those aren't small numbers. So let's talk about an example. And let's use the house example that we were talking about earlier. So let's say mom and dad have been in their home for 40 years. They purchased it for, let's say they purchased it for $30,000. Now it's worth $430,000, which is no stretch.
No.
If you gift that home to your child, they will have a carryover in your basis. So if you gift it to your child, you live there for the next 8 years, you pass away, never needed the nursing home, and then they have their own home. Your child or children then sell the home, wasn't their primary residence, they're going to have to pay capital gains tax on the difference between what you paid for it and what they sold it for. So let's say in those 8 years, it didn't increase any more in value. $430,000 is what it sold for. $30,000 is what you paid for it. Now they have to pay capital gains tax on the $400,000 increase.
Wow.
I think once you get above 250,000, it's 20%. 400 is definitely greater than 250. So 20% is $80,000.
Wow.
It's an $80,000 tax bill. If it wasn't something that we could avoid, we wouldn't be wasting this time talking about it.
No.
You can completely wipe out the capital gains tax if instead of gifting it during your lifetime, you have it go to your children at the time you pass away. Then they'll receive a step up in basis. So when the IRS goes to look at it, they'll say, okay, you received it, it was worth $430,000. You sold it, it was worth $430,000. No tax due. That's a best case scenario.
So that would be $0 that you owe.
$0. So we just took an $80,000 tax bill that resulted from listening to your neighbor say, just put your house in your kid's name.
But neighbors like that.
Yeah, because they think they know. They know it's possible to do. They don't know if it's something you should do. And it's your responsibility to look into it to figure out what that's going to mean down the road.
Wow. Hope I've learned so much just from this conversation. And I think a lot of people watching have learned as well. So if someone is curious about the transfer on death, or if they're curious about asset protection trust, what can they do?
They can give us a call or go online, and you'll have a very delightful conversation with one of the people on our intake team. And then as long as we understand that we can help you with what you're looking for help with, they'll set up a meeting with one of our client navigators, and they'll gather more information. Also give you a chance to figure out if you like working with us and, interacting with us. And so I call it legal dating, right? It's like speed dating, or who knows, but at least you have a feel for what it's like to work with us, whether or not we know anything, and at least you'll find out what our process is like. If you choose to move on to the meeting with the attorney, then you'll also find out exactly what they're recommending for you, and they'll tell you what it is, how it works, and exactly what the cost would be. We only do flat fee billing, so that before you're making up your mind to move forward with anything that we might suggest, you know exactly what it's going to look like for you, what all's involved, and exactly what the fee would be to do whatever that thing is.
That's hard to beat right there. And even better, that first call, that discovery call, completely free.
Absolutely.
You can call the number on your screen that you're seeing now. Email us at wecare@jarvisfirm.com, or check us out online, jarvisfirm.com. Oh, thank you so much. It's been very enlightening today.
Thank you, John, and thank you all for spending time with us.
We got a lot more videos coming your way, so be sure to subscribe, and we look forward to seeing you next time.